Hey, welcome to the setup of the RadialZ app for any version of ZBrush prior to 2026. This includes users in 2022, the last perpetual free update of ZBrush. So I'm going to cover how to install RadialZ for this. It's pretty straightforward, just a couple of clicks that you need to do and things that you need to keep in mind so that you only set it up once and it works the next time or any other time that you open ZBrush. So what I have here is RadialZ. The application is already installed. I already covered how to install and activate it. That is the same regardless of what version of ZBrush you have. So for the installation, we're going to go to the ZBrush setup. I'm going to click on this one. And just a quick disclaimer so that you're aware, I do have ZBrush 2026 and I have a few other versions of ZBrush. So they will be listed in here, but doesn't mean that you will have the same scenario. You might only have ZBrush 2022 or you might only have 24 and so on. Now, if you are in ZBrush 2026, I do have a dedicated video to show you how to install it in this specific version. And you'll see something like this green thing here. But if you have, like I said, a previous version of ZBrush, pre-2026, this is the section that we're going to set it up. So just ignore this thing that I have in here. You won't see it if you don't have the 2026 installed anyway. So you will see something like this. All right, so the very first thing I need to do is close any version of ZBrush that I'm running. So I'm just going to go to my ZBrush here and I'm going to close it. And this is very important because after we install the plugin, we need to restart ZBrush anyway so that it picks up the new plugin that we added. Now, as I said, the installation process is pretty straightforward. I'm going to install it for 2022, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and click install. Again, ignore the other versions. This is just because I have multiple versions of ZBrush. But for 2022, I'm going to click on install. And that's it. It says bridge install, restart ZBrush 2022. And I get the green sort of label saying this has been installed, and it tells you exactly where it has been installed. Now, my version of ZBrush 2022 lives in the program files in my C drive. However, in some cases, you might have this in a different folder or a different drive altogether. And in some cases, you might not even have it within program files. You might have it directly, the Maxon ZBrush might be sitting directly on the drive. In that case, that is a very specific scenario. Not everyone would have it, but just in that case, what you need to do is go here to that link here in the bottom, and you can choose the installation folder. So once you do that, then you can reinstall. But that's it. That's in the rare case that you have the installation of ZBrush in a different drive. But that's about it. But this tells you that the plugin is already installed. So what I'm going to do is load up ZBrush 2022 now. And here we go. Let's go ahead and create a new project here just so that you can see. And if you look here at my top left, it says ZBrush 2022.0.8. So as I said, this is the last version of the perpetual license in ZBrush. So let's go to the C plugin palette here. Let's drop that into the right-hand side. And we're going to look for RadialZ, which is here. So I'm going to click and open RadialZ. And that's it. That confirms the plugin has been installed. Now, the next thing is super important and is to actually set up the connection between ZBrush and RadialZ. The plugin is let's say the underlying connection, but we need to tell ZBrush how to communicate with RadialZ and vice versa. So again, it's very, very simple. I will show you exactly how to do it. Let's go back into the RadialZ setup and we're going to scroll down a bit more to where it says the bridge hotkey. So this is the secret connection key. This key right here, this bridge hotkey, is the one that we need to assign in RadialZ, and then we also need to assign it in the load brush button inside the RadialZ plugin. So let's do one at a time. First, we're going to click on record, and you can press, Alt-J or anything that you want that has the Alt modifier. If you press something like, I don't know, Control-H, you'll get a pop-up at the bottom saying, hey, you cannot use any Control or Shift modifiers because those ones are going to be used in ZBrush to select other types of brushes. So it's better to avoid those. In some cases, the Alt-J might be something that you have already set up in ZBrush and you might have forgotten about it. So that could create a bit of a conflict. So this is the reason why I recommend to use something like F8. That's personally what I use, but you can use anything from F6 all the way to F12. If you use anything like F3, for instance, or F1 or something like that, those are things that ZBrush has already baked in by default. So if I go back into ZBrush just to show you, and in ZBrush I press the F1, it will bring this quick palette or the quick pick palette. If I press F2, it's going to bring the brush palette, which is the same thing as pressing B. F3 is going to bring the stroke palette. F4 is going to do the quick pick for the alpha. And F5 is going to be the texture. So those are already baked in ZBrush. I don't want to mess with anything that has, those default shortcuts. So that's what I say, or that's why I recommend F6 to F12, whatever in that range works fine. So let's go ahead and click on record. And I'm going to press F8. As I said, you can use any other shortcut, but if you encounter any issues or you see that maybe when you select a brush, another palette will pop up or things like that, this is very likely the issue. So F8 is just like a very safe option. So let's use F8. Now this is ready. We have set it up in RadialZ, but we need to match the same shortcut inside ZBrush. So it tells you what to do again. We just need to assign this F8 to the load brush button, which is in here in the RadialZ menu. So let's go back into ZBrush. And just in case you don't know how to assign shortcuts in ZBrush, it's really, really simple. All we need to do is press the Control and the Alt key at the same time, and then use the left mouse button to click on the button. That's it. Don't touch or click on anything else. After you do that, you'll see at the top of the interface that says, press any combination to assign custom hotkey or press Escape or mouse button to cancel, right? Again, without touching anything else, I'm just gonna press F8 and that's it. Now, if I hover over this load brush button, you'll see that I have the F8 assigned to this button. And that's all we have to do to create that connection between ZBrush and RadialZ. And this is very important because when you select a brush from your RadialZ menu, what we're doing is actually firing this specific shortcut to tell ZBrush to load a specific brush. But if we don't have that connection, there's no way to know. But that's it. This is something that you do once and you set it up once. The last thing for this setup, or like the third step, which is the final one, is that if you want this to work, or if you want this to be only one-time setup and you want it to work for the next time that you open ZBrush, you need to make sure that you save this shortcut that you just added. And again, this is very, very easy. We're just going to go to the Preference palette. We're going to open up the hotkeys here, and we're going to click on Store. That's it. It says current hotkeys has been, or it's a file that has been successfully saved, and we're going to just click OK. So that means next time that you open ZBrush, that load brush button will have the same hotkey, and you don't have to set it up again. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. And finally, to wrap up this video and complete this whole setup, I'm going to show you how you can sync your library so you can start creating your menus. So let's go back into the RadialZ app here, and we're going to scroll up a little bit to where it says Brush Library. So load your brushes into RadialZ. So right now, because this is a new installation, all we have done is, just as a quick recap, we installed the plugin and we set up the connection with the plugin itself. So the third step, or the final step on the setup, is to sync your library. So no sync yet. There's no library build or anything. So let's go ahead and click on the sync library and watch what happens in here. All right, so it's extracting the thumbnails. It has gone through the process and it has created 461 brushes. And it did it at this specific date and at this specific time. That's it. That means that everything works. We have the plugin working for 2022. We have the library synced and we have the connection ready. So this concludes the setup of RadialZ for ZBrush 2022 or any version of ZBrush before 2026. And in the next set of videos, I will show you how to create your RadialZ menus. I'll see you there.